Hello and welcome. My name is Fabio Caminati. Today I'm going to talk about Adobe Connect. We're going to look at some convenient pods that beginning hosts are going to need to know. So why should we learn this? Well, Adobe Connect is important. It's one of the big players in the web meeting tools out there. A lot of companies and organizations use it to train employees, conduct online meetings, and online classes. A working knowledge of Connect will give you all of the tools that you need to maintain flexibility and adaptability and be successful in your profession. What we're going to learn today, we're going to learn how to use the basic pods used in Adobe Connect. Those pods are going to be the Attendees Pod, Files Pod, Web Links Pod, the Question and Answers, and the Video Pod. It's exciting stuff. So let's just start a little bit with what is Adobe Connect. Well, it's a tool for online interaction and meetings. Basically, people from all over the country, all over the world even, can sit down in front of their computer with a webcam or without, join in on the meeting, and be able to talk and converse with their colleagues no matter where they're at. And with our new mobile technologies and the mobile app for Adobe Connect, you can also do that on the go too with iPads, Android devices, iPhones, that kind of thing. It's a really innovative way to meet. It also allows for synchronous online class sessions and webinars, which is really nice in the online education industry. Adobe Connect is unique, sets itself apart from its competitors like Microsoft Link in that it's web and server based. It installs on a web server. Users connect to it via their web browser or an app on their mobile device. There's absolutely no software that needs to be installed on the user's computer. Now, one of the drawbacks to this and the web server approach is that Adobe Connect does cost money, and it's usually not something that's affordable on an individual level. So it's usually purchased, server space is purchased by institutions, universities, and companies. So some common terms and phrases you're going to want to know when we're talking about the pods, and I'm going to have some live demonstrations, so keep an eye out for these things. The host. That's the person or persons controlling the meeting. They have full control over all aspects of the meeting. They grant permissions, they deny permissions, and they remove permissions. They're also usually the ones presenting the material and doing the bulk of the speaking and directing. Participants are the people participating in the meeting. They have limited control over aspects of the meeting, and only if the host grant those permissions. Now, usually participants are there to learn and absorb the material, and they can speak and interact in a number of ways, which I'm going to show you today. Also, we have presenters. Now, these are kind of a hybrid. They're people or persons that have some advanced permissions that allow them to present material like a PowerPoint or draw on a whiteboard. They get promoted by the host. In fact, the host can even promote other people to host. But however, presenters do not have full control over the meeting unless they're promoted by the host. Now, pods, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Pods are the basic windows or modules in a meeting. Each type of pod has a very specific function and adds to the overall functionality and appeal of Adobe Connect. So a typical Adobe Connect meeting might look something like this. So here we are in Adobe Connect. We have the main share pod. We're not going to talk too much about the share pod today because it takes a long time to go over. It does a lot. This is your main pod. The other ancillary pods that we are going to be talking about, we have our video pod. There's nothing in it right now. We have our web links pod. We have our files pod, our attendees pod, and the question and answer. These are the ones we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about pods in general. There are a number of different ones that we haven't talked about. We're not going to talk about the chat pod today. Chat pod is a pretty self-explanatory pod. It's a chat window. We also have a notes pod and a polls pod. And like I said, we have the share pod, which we're not going to talk about today either. That's more of an advanced lesson. So pods, they're the basic modules that make up the Adobe Connect meeting. Without the pods, the meeting wouldn't be successful and it wouldn't function. They each have their own use and their own function, and each pod does something a little bit different. So it's good to get to know how each pod is used and what are some of the intricacies of it. So the first pod that we're going to talk about is the Attendees Pod. Basically, this is, on its most basic level, a list of all the hosts, participants and presenters in the meeting. It allows control of breakout rooms, which are these really cool things that allow all different people to be split up into smaller groups for activities and projects. Audio carries over into each room so each participant can talk to each other without the rest of the group hearing. Also, it allows for collaboration. Each participant is promoted to presenter within that breakout room. They have whiteboards and they can draw, they can type, they can talk, they can create, presentations, posters, little mini projects to be presented to the rest of the class. It's a really cool thing. Also, a subject of a more advanced presentation. The Attendees Pod also allows for interaction with the attendees through the use of feedback buttons, audio and video icons, as well as this is where we grant permissions for video, audio, whiteboard control, all sorts of things. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. This pod is indispensable. Without it, it's really hard to maintain control over the meeting. So let's take a look at that pod in particular. It's the one right over here. It's attendees, and in it, I have a couple of attendees that are in here. We have me, I'm the host. We also have Tom Banks here. He's in with Jackie Smith. So you can see Tom Banks is a presenter, and Jackie Smith is just simply a participant. So what we can do with them, we can also move them around. I'm going to move Tom back into the participant. So you just click him and drag him, and it's that simple. Now you'll notice that Tom is in blue and I'm in yellow. That means that I've logged in with my credentials. Tom is in as a guest. And you'll notice Jackie has a little device by her. That means that she's logged in mobily. So we can see her on her mobile device. She may not be in front of a computer. It may be a tablet or an iPad or even a phone. So you can work around with that. You can grant permissions like Tom. I can enable his video, enable his microphone. I can request a screen share. I can do a number of things with Tom. With Jackie, I have the same options here. I'm going to go ahead and enable Jackie's video, and then Jackie's going to broadcast. So that appears up here in the video pod. Now, you may or may not notice, but Jackie looks a lot like me in a side view. That's entirely coincidental, so please pay no attention to that. She's not really me. The other thing that you can do here with the Attendees Pod, you can ask for participation. So I'm going to ask if Jackie and Tom agree that Adobe Connect is cool. If they agree, they can actually come up to this little button right up here. This is the feedback button, and they can actually set their status to agree. And you'll see on mine it changes to a green check mark. That means that I agree with the statement. If I disagreed, I could go here. This can be used for any number of creative ways. In fact, I've used them to signal, yeah, I'm back from my break, or I understand, or I have a question. You also have a number of other feedback things up here, such as step away. If a participant has to step away for like a bathroom break, you can raise your hand, and then you get a little hand raise icon here. The presenters and hosts are notified of that, and you can call on that person if they have a question. We also, and all four of those, agree, disagree, raise your hand, and step away are persistent. They stay until they become cleared. Other icons we have here, speak louder, softer, speed up, slow down, laughter and applause. These go on, like if I'm happy with something that's said. Applause shows here and it goes away after about 10 seconds. So these are little cues that participants can give to the host to kind of signal what's going on in the meeting. It's a really cool way to interact with them. We also can grant permissions. So if I want to give Tom audio access, I'm going to enable his microphone, and now he has a microphone right now. Say I want to take it away, I'm going to disable it. Another thing with microphones is you can pause and you can mute them. You can also come up here to the enhanced permissions under attendee options, and we can give them extra rights. So we can give them control of a share pod, a notes pod, polls. All of these pods, they can have control over that, the ability to write. If we give them whiteboard control, they'll be able to write on the share pod. So this attendees pod is actually the best thing that you can have. It shows active speakers here. So sometimes if we don't have visual cues, it's hard to tell who's talking. This will let us know where the sound is coming from. We also have breakout rooms. This is where we manage them. We can create up to 20 rooms simply just by hitting plus. I can drag people into each room, or I can set them in a number of ways. to each room, and then you can just start the breakouts, and everyone goes into their own little breakout room. Now I'm in here by myself, so nobody else can hear me. If I come back to this view, this is me all by myself. I'm going to go ahead and end this breakout session. It's going to bring everyone back to the main meeting so we can discuss our activities. So that's the Attendees Pod at a glance. We're going to move on here, and we'll talk about the Files Pod. Now, the Files Pod is a nice, handy little way to distribute downloadable files to participants. I, as the host, or you as the host, will upload them. Participants will click on the file and download it to their computer. This is a great way to make notes and other source documents available to meeting participants. So let's kind of take a look at that in action. So the Files Pod is right up here. I've already preloaded a file in there, which is this presentation that we're looking at right now. Basically, as a participant, I would click on it and click Download File, and it's going to open up a new link in my web browser right here where I can click this, and I have the opportunity to download that file. And then it'll go actually to my hard drive, and I can save it for later use. If I want to upload a file, I'm simply going to click Upload, and I'm going to choose something. I can get something from my computer. I can look for content that I've already uploaded or content that's been shared with me. However, none of that's happened in this trial version of Adobe Connect that I'm using. But if I want to browse from my computer, I can simply do that. I'm going to choose on the desktop where I can conveniently have another presentation to upload, and it takes, a few minutes here to upload. It's got and it gets it up there. It's stored on the server. So once it's in there, that's there too now. So I can download that as well. I click Download File and click the download, and it's going to ask you to log in. If you're just a guest, it won't ask you to log in, obviously. And it's going to ask you, do you want to save the share pod? So I'm going to hit Save, and it's going to save it to my Downloads folder. So that's basically the way the Files Pod works. It's very simple, and it's very useful to disseminate and share documents. Next thing that we're going to look at is the Web Links Pod. Web links, basically they're used to push links to participants. If the host wants his participants to fill out a survey, for example, the link could be posted in the Web Links Pod to avoid any copy-paste errors and generally speed things up. The host will add links, participants can click on them, and Adobe Connect will open the link in a new browser window. Let's take a look at that in action here. Available. So if I'm going to go in, I'm going to add a link. Let's say I want all of my agents to go to Google. So I'm going to go ahead and put in http www.google.com, and I'm going to name it something friendly that my agents will recognize, my participants will recognize. So Google's now there. I'm going to browse to Google. Opens up the default web browser, and Google's there. So it's a great way to give links to your agents. On a proper prep, you have most of these preloaded already so that you don't have to worry about typing as you go and wasting time. So this is a great way for agents or participants to take surveys after the meeting is done, after the classroom is done, or go to quizzes, or any number of other various reasons why you might want them out there on the web outside of the meeting. So the Web Links Pod is very useful, very simple to use. Next thing is the Q&A pod. Now, I love this pod. It's used for participants to ask questions of the host. Questions are private, and the answers can either be sent privately to the person who asked them or the whole meeting at the host's discretion. This is a wonderful alternative to chat. It avoids side conversations that can be distracting. The chat pod, people tend to type a bunch of stuff in there. The back channel, so to speak, sometimes that's useful. Sometimes you want people just paying attention and you don't want them to the ability to talk. So this question and answer pod, really nice. Let's take a look at that. So down here, we already have a couple people have asked questions. So Tom asked the question, how can I fly? So if we come over here and look at Tom's screen, this is what Tom would see. So he's asked the question, how can I fly? So you'll notice Tom is in italics here. This indicates that it's him. He asked it. He can answer another one. He can type in whatever he wants. and it comes to the host. So coming back over to the host, now I have 4 questions here. Tom wants to know how to fly. So let's say I click on that, and now I can answer it. So I'm going to tell Tom to buy a ticket. Now I don't want my whole meeting to see Tom's question, so I'm just going to send it to him privately, which is this top button. So we go back, I'm going to also clear it out because I've answered it. So it's gone now. If we go back to Tom's screen, Tom will see that I answered his question privately. It says to buy a plane ticket. So that's awesome. If we come back here into my meeting, we see that Jackie Smith asked a question, why is the sky blue? Well, I'm going to choose to answer that question. And I want this one to go to the whole meeting, so I'm going to actually send that out. Now Jackie will see this answered on her screen, but I sent it out to the whole meeting, so Tom should see it as well. If we come in here, yep, sees the question that Jackie asked, and he sees the answer. So this is a wonderful little pod that allows us to do a number of different things. As a host, I can also delegate these to other hosts if I don't want to answer the question myself, or if I can't with the assigned to. I don't have any other hosts right now, so there's nobody in the list besides me. But I can also clear the questions out if I don't want to answer them, or if I answer them verbally, possibly. I'm going to go ahead and clear them all out so that I have a blank pod. And Tom still has all of the questions that were answered here. He has to clear that individually on his own. So like I said, the Q&A pod is a great way for the participants to ask questions, but it takes away all that distracting side chat as well. And finally, the video pod. This is where the webcam images are displayed. Me or you as the host can display your feed or any of the participants' feed if they grant access to the webcam and we turn their permissions on. Multiple webcams can be displayed at once, and it's a good way to bring the humanity back to online meetings because we can all see each other. All participants can see the contents of the video pod, including those on a mobile display. So let's take a look at the video pod. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start my webcam again. Now you'll see that. Now you guys won't actually see anything here because it's blacked out, just because I'm recording my face with this meeting as well. But I've also given Jackie video rights. Now you'll see that Jackie comes up again looking a lot like me. There she is. And I see both of these are displayed. If we were to make this pod bigger, you can see the videos in there the whole time. So we can display any number of participants in this. And that we could actually have a whole meeting where it's just all of our faces together. This pod is very simple in use. It's made to display webcam video. It's really nice. So this brings me to the most important part of the presentation. You guys have learned a bunch of useful things about the new Adobe Connect and the ancillary basic pods. However, the most important part here is to enjoy your work and don't stop learning. It's been my pleasure to talk to you guys today. You have a wonderful day and enjoy using Adobe Connect.